Welcome to my weekly self-important Magic the Gathering show. This one's going up late because I was busy and not feeling well all week. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I got some kind of throat problem. I'm not like super sick, but it's really gross and unpleasant, and I don't like it. Let's get started by copying down these things and keeping track of all my windows. So this is Idris, Soul of the TARDIS. I forget the name of the actress who played her, but this episode, I haven't seen it all the way through because I don't watch stuff. I like anime and I don't even watch anime anymore. I'm just busy. I need to set aside some time for myself to. You know what it is that I don't feel like watching new stuff anymore. But when the Eminence and Shadow movie comes out, and when the Irregular at Magic High movie comes out, I'll watch those. And if they get more seasons, I'll definitely watch those. But I'm like not in a hurry to watch anything. That I haven't at least like read some of the manga for. There are some that I've seen that I'm like, oh, I really should watch that. I'll get around to it someday. So Idris, Soul of the TARDIS. 1 blue red for a 3/3. Legendary creature. Human incarnation. I wonder how many incarnations there are. Vanishing 3. That means within 3-ish turns, she goes away. Imprint. When Idris, Soul of the TARDIS, enters the battlefield, exile another artifact you control until Idris leaves the battlefield. Okay. And I like how it says leave, so you don't accidentally lose something permanently. Idris has all activated and triggered abilities of the exiled card and gets +X/+X, where X is the exiled card's mana value. Okay. So is it artifacts? But also, I'm gonna blow my nose. Hold on. So it's Idris Voltron with artifacts, at least at face value. Except that we definitely have to recast our commander every couple of turns. So we really want to make her large and in charge and make those turns count. Maybe we don't cast her on turn 3. Just saying. So what do we got? Okay, so I did some interesting things. Oh, I see. No, that makes sense. Okay, so we have Thassa, Deep Dwelling, and Conjurer's Closet. Those do blinky stuff. That's why they're in the blink section. That they are ways to reset Idris. Are there any? I don't think there's anything new in blue for blink. Because there's the white blink stuff, there's the teleportation circle, and then I think it's Leo and Dawn, but that is white-blue. Then we have, over in copy, we have Roaming Throne. And then we have Auton Soldier, which is mildly interesting because it's an expensive artifact. And it enters to copy Idris. And I don't know if when it enters, copying... Oh, it enters as the copy. So, okay, so it would be a second Idris. And with the Roaming Throne, we get 2 triggers. Meaning you can exile 2 artifacts. Yes, and she would have all of the exiled and triggered abilities of both of those things, if I'm understanding how the card works correctly, and get plus X for both of them. Okay. I already see a spot for improvement. I might. I don't know if I want. If I'm going to take out the Automaton Soldier, but we're going to add. We are going to add two cards. It would help if I. If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger an additional time. This doesn't. We don't exile this with Idris because this isn't a triggered or activated ability. This is a replacement effect. But theoretically, exiling more artifacts with Idris is better for Idris. And then there's is it Virtue? Yes, Virtue of Knowledge. If a permanent entering the battlefield, so that's 2 more copy effects. They put Parmonicon in Blink even though it's actually just a copy effect. So we are 2 over, but that's fine. Sorry. So let's see what else is in this deck and see, because we got to take out 2 cards already. Dowerport Mage. Whenever one or more other creatures you control leaves the battlefield without dying, draw a card. Okay. We draw a card when it's time for Idris. Oh, also blinking Idris resets her vanishing. That's another thing. Oh, that's why I don't want the Automaton Soldier, now that I think about it. Because he'll have the Vanishing 3, and then it just goes away, and we're not going to have a way to bring it back, probably. So, yeah. I mean, he's a nice, expensive, thing. And maybe she gets to copy another creature. If she... Nope, that doesn't... No, the timing of that is wrong. So yeah, that can go away. Candlekeep Sage. Whenever this creature enters or leaves, draw a card, because she will be entering and leaving a lot. Makes sense. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, draw a card. Okay, yeah. That's after we get... It's a station. It's a spacecraft, and that's after we get 3 power on it. That makes sense. And 3 power is what our commander has at base. And then at 12, it's a flying 08 that gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. So that's kind of when Idris isn't around. Though, if she copies this, she becomes a space station, and you have to station her. But to get the charge counters on her before she can do anything. But that's also interesting. And she becomes a base 6/6. Although I think... Then she become a base 08, I think? A base 311 with flying? No, she just has the activated and triggered abilities. So actually, copying this thing wouldn't work. Except for the... Oh no, you would get to draw a card. And putting a charge counter on her for no reason. Because she doesn't become a copy. This is us working through the logic. and making sure we are eventually getting to the correct answer. Jorah to draw cards when we cast historic spells. That makes sense. Draw a card when we cast artifact spell. Okay. Thought Monitor is an expensive artifact that would give Idris +7/+7. None of the other stuff. None of that matters. Because I think she's already in the battlefield, so you don't even draw the 2 cards, and flying isn't an activated or triggered ability. Kappa Cannoneer. I think Ward is a triggered ability. And then the +1/+1 counters and the can't be blocked is triggered, so that's also good. And also Kappa Cannoneer is good on its own. Reaver Titan. We don't get the protection from mana value 3 or less. But we do get the Gatling Blaster. Because we don't get the vehicle part. I think we get the crew part, but that is completely irrelevant. Okay, understand. Now we're on to lands. This one's worth noting. The Academy Ruins. This lets us put artifacts from our graveyard on top of our library. Well, that's a good way to get back Auton Soldier, but I still think it wasn't worth it. Let's... Any other lands worth... Path of Ancestry, just to scry off of our commander. That's always funny. And on the other on the off chance there's other human incarnations. There's at least one other human. Oh, Roaming Throne I think will count. No, because it's not a human when we cast it. Oh, we didn't put in the planet that adds mana equal to our nope, never mind, it's right here. It's this last one. I thought this was still Training Center because for these lands they don't put the name on top. So yeah, we have the Talarian Academy, but worse and thus fair. Because you have to pay a blue into it, and also put 12 power onto it. Throne of Geth. Sacrifice an artifact, proliferate. To get more vanishing counters on Idris. Makes sense. And it's a 2-mana artifact, so it's something that we can get out really cheap. Dreamtide Whale. This proliferates. It has Vanishing 2, and whenever a player casts their second spell, each turn proliferate. It's also a 7/5. Flux Channeler. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. Ooh. Titus's Sword, the Sword of Truth and Justice. When deals combat damage to a player, +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, then proliferate. Protection from white and blue, for the record. Canine Mark 1. Other legend, as long as this is untapped, other legendary creatures you control have Ward 1. And then you can also make target legendary creature unblockable. Important if you want to do commander damage to someone. And then it looks like we have our ramp section coming up. Enthusiastic Mechanaut. Artifact spells cost 1 less. Ethereum Sculptor. Artifact spells cost 1 less. We have 25 pieces of ramp. Oh, it's because we get real crazy. So let's actually go through this section. We have our Doctor Who Soul Ring, Doctor Who Arcane Signet, the Enthusiastic Mechanaut, Ethereum Sculptor, Felwar Stone. A lot of this I can probably just take out for other stuff. And I probably will. Especially the ones that come into play tapped. Fire Diamond, Mind Stone, Sky Diamond, Talisman of Creativity, Iron Crag, Doctor Who Thought Vessel, Treasure Map. Okay, so there's a treasure generator in here somewhere. Oh, it's Bilbo, probably. Ah, the ring tempts you so we can give Bilbo Skulk. Foundry Inspector. Professional Face Breaker. Makes treasures and gives us a use for treasures. Reaver Cleaver. In the form of Knuckles Gloves. +1/+1, trample, and you make treasure tokens equal to the amount of combat damage it deals to a player or planeswalker. Crystal Skull, Izu Spyglass. Look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play historic cards and cast historic spells from the top of your library, and then it just taps for blue. Sweet. Jorah's Familiar to make historic spells cheaper. Knuckles, which is like a professional face breaker with a win condition attached to him. If you control 30 or more artifacts, you win. Master Transmuter. Return an artifact you control to its owner's hand. You may put an artifact card from your hand onto the battlefield. Oh, Lord. So this is the Blue Elvish Piper. Solemn Simulacrum. That's probably another one that we can just take out. Although, the thing is, it gives Idris +4/+4. And I don't think we get the land tutor because she's already in play. But if she dies, we draw a card. Storm the Vault. I'm a fan of this one. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get a treasure. At the end step, if you control 5 or more artifacts, you transform the Vault, which gives us another Tolarian Academy. Only this one's objectively better, other than the hoops you have to go through, because it can 1 mana of any color or blue equal to artifacts. Ancient Copper Dragon. That gets us a lot of treasure should he survive. Mycosynth Golem has affinity for artifacts and then gives artifact creatures spells affinity for artifacts. I don't know how many things actually that'll actually affect a non-zero number though. And then it also gives Idris +11/+11 should that ever matter. Goblin Welder. Exchange an artifact a player controls for an artifact in their graveyard. Duretti Scrap Savant. Discard up to 2 cards, draw that many cards. Sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return target artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. And the emblem, that will probably never matter. You get an emblem with, whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Oh, that's neat. Will probably never happen. Then I think we're on to our removal section. Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Shattering Spree, Vandal Blast, Reality Shift. The Wild Magic stuff, which I will keep because it fits with the commander's vibe. Aetherized Sprouts, Meteor Golem. That's good because +7/+7 to Idris, and if it ever comes back, it gets it's triggered. which Idris doesn't get because she's already in play. Is the Pinnacle kill ship the thing that I think it is? No, that's 10 damage to one target creature. Then we have the Spine of Ishsa. When it enters, this is basically Meteor Golem, but it's not a creature. And then if it ever goes to the graveyard from the battlefield, it goes back to its owner's hand. But again, it's an item that can give +7/+7 to our commander. The Extinguisher Battleship, that's the one. Okay, that's the one that does full damage to each creature. We're getting rid of that. Cityscape Leveler. We get the attack trigger to destroy a non-land permanent and give its that permanent's controller a tap Power Stone token. Portal to Phyrexia. We get the beginning of the upkeep trigger. And then we have the Mech Titan core because this is a giant mecha and that amuses me. It costs 2 and it's a 2/4 vehicle. That's absolutely garbage. Doesn't matter. Well, I guess a 2/4 for 2 that you have to crew for 2 isn't the worst, but scratching my back. Exile Mech Titan core and 4 other artifact creatures and or vehicles you control. Okay, they have to be creatures and or vehicles. Create Mech Titan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, haste, and all colors. And then when it leaves the battlefield, return everything but the core to the battlefield under their owner's control. Okay, we're going to get rid of the Fire Diamond and the Sky Diamond. I know I clicked those out of order. And the Felwar Stone. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose again. This is obnoxious. Blah. I will keep. You know, we're getting rid of the Iron Crag. I'm just not happy with it. The Izzet Signet can stay, and then everything else is a Doctor Who card, so that's fine. So we have 4 spots left. Let's go to our friend EDH Rec. After we check out the types, we have 24 creatures and 19 artifacts, 3 enchantments, 9 instants, and 2 sorceries, and a planeswalker. And a lot of these creatures are also artifacts. Categories. Okay, let's start with artifacts, obviously. Oh, lands. That's funny. Yeah, they probably would want me to... Yeah, Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, that's kind of a duh, isn't it? So we'll put in the boots and the greaves. Because more important than anything else is the haste. Ugh. Excalibur Sword of Eden. Yes, that's funny as all heck. The worst part is that you guys have to deal with that stupid clicky sound. Because I don't do a toggle button, but that's okay. So we have one more spot left. There is the Mystic Forge, but we have we have non-colorless artifacts in the deck. Kind of creatures. Emery Lurker of the Lock. Padim. Is Idris a legendary artifact creature? No. She herself isn't an artifact. She just inhabits them. We get to draw an extra card if we control the artifact with the greatest mana value. What's funny is that I don't have a TARDIS in this deck, even though she's solo the TARDIS, and I really do need to. Hold on, I can do this better. It is. I just went to OBS and muted my mic through there. That should prevent that stupid sound. For as long as I remember that that's an option. You know what? It costs 6. And we're not doing any infinite shenanigans, so let's go Deadeye Navigator. That way we can, it's another option to, yep, we have no infinites. So we're back to 100. We're technically 2. I don't think I make decks good enough to be 3s. Now we have 3 blinks, 3 copies, not a lot. But honestly, the rest of our deck has like decent fun stuff in it. I do like this. Although I see why I had all the ramp I did, but then I was like, you know what? I think this is enough good low-level ramp. I do prefer cost reducers if you have a lot of the same thing in your deck. I think I heard someone else say that they didn't think they were as good, but probably because they're more likely to get removed. Anyway, yeah, no, that's Idris. Her deck did not get much more of a name. So, spoilers is next. We'll see. forgot to copy Idris this part. So I typed it in manually because it's not like I didn't know her name or something. So we have River Song. I really like this one because this is weird as heck. 3 mana for a 2/2. Human Time Lord Rogue. Just goes to show that Time Lord isn't really a race or a species per se. Oh, sorry, scratching my back again. And meet. Yes, I had to lean in to read because it's all in italics. Meet in reverse. You draw cards from the bottom of your library rather than the top. That is interesting as all heck. Spoilers. Whenever an opponent scries, surveils, or searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on River Song. Then River Song deals damage to that player equal to her power. I'm going to correctly gender her. Like, I understand they say it's because it's a piece of cardboard, but it's a piece of cardboard with a picture of a woman on it, who, last time I checked, identifies as a woman. And then we have the TARDIS, because she's a Time Lord. 2 mana for a 2/4 vehicle that flies. Whenever TARDIS attacks, if you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade, and you may Planeswalk. Planeswalk don't matter unless you play in Plane Shift, but it's nice that it's there. The Reality Chip. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as the Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. You know, just in case there's something good on the top of your library after you get River Song out, since she deals from the bottom. They call it meet in reverse, but also dealing from the bottom is cheating. So that's also very interesting, that since she's a rogue with a lot looser sense of morals than the Doctor at points. Oh yeah, and it's a legendary artifact creature equipment jellyfish. It's an 0/4 for 2 with reconfigure for 3. Fibblethip, Lost on the Range. 3 mana for a 1/1 homunculus with ward 2. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. The top card of your library has plot. The plot cost is equal to its mana cost. You may plot non-land cards from the top of your library. Plot means you pay the plot cost and you exile the card. On a future turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost because you paid it up front. It's like you're getting it delivered and you have kind of have to wait. So this and the Reality Chip are ways to play stuff off the top of our deck. Metoya, Archon Elder. Whenever you scry or surveil, draw a card. You draw after you scry or surveil. And remember, with our commander out, we draw from the bottom. Palantir of Orthanc. Palantir of Orthanc. At the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on Palantir of Orthanc and scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. If that player doesn't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on Palantir of Orthanc, and that player loses life equal to the total mana value of those cards. You know me, I don't like milling, but this is an interesting case where if our commander is out, we're technically milling off the bottom of our library because those are the cards that we're unlikely to draw unless we have Fibblethip or the Reality Chip out. And that's why I like this deck. This deck is funny to me. Joyra, because I guess we have a lot of historic cards in this deck, which are artifacts, legendary permanents. No, I actually think the legendary spells also count. And sagas. Memory's returning, really? I had someone like completely... Well, no, they dominated. I was trying to find like the correct word for how they won. I was holding my own until they made me drop my entire deck. But they were the first person I ever saw to play this card against me. I was doing alright holding my own, but then they took an extra turn with a time walk because they had Oracle of Power, I think the thing that puts the power 9 in your deck, and he just kept drawing cards. I was worried about Sunfall, but he just decked me eventually. And honestly, I would have won if they hadn't had a couple of cards that protected them from losing the game. But yeah, they were the first person I ever seen play this card. So, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand. And I see why this is in this deck. Because this is funny. Then choose an opponent. They put one on the bottom of your library. Then you put one into your hand. Then they put one in the bottom of your library. Put the other into your hand. Because the bottom of our library is the top of our library when our commander is out. That is hilarious. And also, as much as I think Squall is a dingus dorcas, this is great art. Shout out to, hopefully, Hagia Kauru. Shout out to them. This card art is great. Squall still sucks. Every other character in that game is better than him. The Lunar Whale. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as the Lunar Whale attacked this turn, you may play the top card of your library. Sweet. And it's a crew 1, 3/5 for 4 with flying. I want to check something out. Oh, yeah, this is all the card draw section. Okay, fair enough. Okay, Nero Wild Mage. 6 mana for a 2/7. Whenever you cast a spell, you may put it at the bottom of its owner's library. Jesus. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. You may cast that spell without paying its mana cost. Then put the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. This ability triggers once a turn. That's just goofy stuff. That is goofy stuff. This isn't really card draw. But yeah, you cast a cheap spell you don't care about. Or you cast a spell you do care about, but it doesn't matter that it happens now. It's... The Temporal Anchor. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 2. Whenever you choose to put one or more cards at the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom of your library. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with the Temporal Anchor. Okay. So the problem with this is this card can go away. So you only do that. For me, I'd only do that if I planned on if it was an instant that I could in response cast it if someone tries to get rid of the anchor. I wouldn't bank cards in the anchor. Although I do think that if Matoya is out, we can stack the triggers because these are separate lines. Oh no, you still have to exile cards from the bottom of your library. Yeah, that's just something to be careful. And could be a card to cut if you don't like how it performs. Bessie, the Doctor's Roadster. This is literally in the deck because River Song takes it from like a museum or something. 2 mana for a 3/4 with haste. Whenever it attacks, another target legendary creature can't be blocked this turn. Also, that's actually a good ability. And it's a crew 2. Brotherhood Regalia to make her unblockable. Mirror of Galadriel. Pay 5 to scry 1, then draw a card. This costs 1 less for each legendary creature you control. I don't know how many legendary creatures we're going to have in play. But it's basically put 1 card from the top of our deck to the bottom of our deck if we feel like it, and then draw that card. You just have to remember that you draw from the bottom. So you go. So if you don't want to draw it, you leave it at the top. Prowler's Helm can only be blocked by walls. Unblockable and has ward. And is also adds creature types. This is the Thassa that scries, but also makes a creature unblockable. Oh, now we're on to our lands. Oh, I see. We kind of want to make her unblockable just on the off chance she's big from opponents scrying and surveilling and searching. I get it. Mare of Galadriel and Temporal Anchor might actually come out of this deck. Although I do have a lot... I do have potential for a lot of legendary creatures being in play now that I see it. So Mare of Galadriel might not cost too much. I am just moving this to evasion. It was under protection, but it can't be blocked, but it only gains the shroud until end of turn. So that is less protection and more evasion. Can't be blocked, that's the more important. That's the Whisper Silk Cloak. Remove Canine to evasion as well. Checking my messages. Okay, it wasn't anything super important. Okay, anyway, lands. Lightning Greaves. Hold on, I just like aligning this a specific way. Mirror Shield that protects us from Death Touch blockers. That's Shroud again. And also, because you can use double blue to attach it at instant speed instead of paying 1. Today's an itchy back day. Then we have the boots, Champion's Helm. We just want to protect the heck out of River Song. Darksteel Plate, Mithril Coat, Hammer of Nazahan, that gives us free equips as well. Soul Ring, Arc Sig, near what? Yeah, we're going to get rid of those diamonds. Oh, Nardole, Resourceful Cyborg, add 1 for each counter on Nardole. Spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells. Has Undying, which means it has to die once and come back to to be a mana dork. But this is one of those only in the deck because he was River Song's companion. And he's another legendary creature. Are there any non-legendary creatures in this deck? That's mildly interesting. Whenever you cast a historic spell, you get a treasure token once a turn. Sacrifice a treasure to goad something. Probably never going to do that. Casting from the top of our library again. The Familiar. Okay. Well, here's two non-legendaries to make historic spells cheaper and to get a basic from our deck. Whenever the belligerent attacks, create a treasure token. Until the end of turn, you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Look at that. But really quick, we're going to dump the Fire Diamond and dump the Sky Diamond, and honestly dump the Iron Crag. Well, no, she would actually want to be the Queen of England, wouldn't she? Even if it was fantasy, fairy tale England. Nah, we don't need it. Okay. Removal. The wild magic stuff. Oh, I even remembered Delayed Blast, Fireball, and Minizium Mortars. I don't think Idris remembered those, but that's fine. Oh, Surtur Fiery Jotun, another legendary creature. Whenever you cast a historic spell, Surtur throws a lightning bolt. And it says any target, so it's literally a lightning bolt. Artificer's Assistant. Whenever you cast a historic spell, scry one. Just garbage card that I'm like, sure, why not? Whenever Elrond, Lord of, and that's also the third non-legendary. Whenever you this guy or another creature enters, you scry one. If it's the second time, you get the ring tempting you. Kate Shee, Fortune Teller. To begin a combat on your turn, scry one, then exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. When you exile a card this way, target creature you control gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the mana value. So what's funny is that you scry and you go, do I want this? And if you want it and your commander is out, you just put it at the bottom because that's how you draw it. And then you exile. Yeah, no, I really do like this deck. Hermes, Overseer of Elpis. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, get a bird. Whenever you attack with birds, you scry two. Okay. Sphinx of Foresight. You may reveal this card at the beginning of your from your opening hand. You scry three on the beginning of your first upkeep if you do, and then scries one on your upkeep. River Song's Diary. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell from their hand, exile it instead of putting it into a graveyard as it resolves. Stealing from graveyards is obviously okay. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more cards exiled with the Diary, choose one of them at random to cast without paying its mana cost. Neat. I normally don't like theft, but this is stealing something that was going away. And I think after it gets cast, it goes back into their graveyard. Yeah, you cast it. It doesn't say copy it to cast it. So you're just borrowing their spell. Oh, I took some cards out, right? Yep, I took 3 cards out. EDH Rec. Types. Okay, I want more creatures just because I like having creatures. casting that many instants or sorceries, I don't think. Let's go back to types. Yeah, we have 28 artifacts, 17 creatures, 10 instants, and 4 sorceries. So that's 14 non-permanents. Oh, 18 creatures counting our commander, of course. So other people play her Spellslinger. Mildly interesting. Oh, Junk Troller. Oh, stuff that puts cards from your graveyard at the bottom of your deck? Okay, yeah. Tomb Troller. Barkform Harvester. Because they do it for mana and not for tapping. So we have room for one more. I understand Sandworm. Stuff that makes our opponents search their library so we can get +1/+1 counters on our commander. We're not doing that, but that is funny. So the newest set here are there anything else? You know what? Let's see if there's anything else that we missed that costs mana and not like having to wait a turn. T creature O. Target card O graveyard O prairie. Okay, this Pilgrim is a 5 mana thing, so I don't want that one. Like 2 and 3 mana I think are fine. Transplant Theorist. I also was looking to see how much it costs to bring it out. When it or another artifact enters the battlefield under control, you can draw and discard. I think I'm fine with that. Just to kind of just to put a card in there, so I'm at 100. Yeah. Possible changes, because like I don't get to play these. This is all just theory crafting for me. Is probably the Temporal Anchor. Like it really depends on what you're exiling. The likelihood of your opponents to destroy your stuff. So you can't get whatever it is that you exiled. And then maybe like this could probably just wait. Where is it? There it is. Why did... Oh, this thing got misplaced. This is an evasion for no reason. So this could just be a tap ability if we have 5 of our legendary creatures out. But yeah, no, that's that deck. That deck, I think, yeah, I just really think River Song is neat, even though she doesn't, like, you still, she's one of those commanders where you still have to build the rest of the deck to win the game. So, like, this is definitely, like, bracket 2 nonsense, I think. Like, how are we winning the game? Hopefully through commander damage from River Song, if we're lucky. Yeah, no, we're just kind of coasting by, and waiting for an opportunity to win. I'm gonna check over here. Okay. We can move these into the parent folder. A lot of Bant. So anyway, now we're at war. Huh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. This is another fabulous episode of the show. This guy passed away. Rest in peace, this guy. He did a great job. If I'm correct, this was supposed to be Eccleston's doctor, but like that actor just hated the way things went down during his run, and didn't want to come back. If I'm recalling correctly, but that's probably why the War Doctor is wearing his jacket. And honestly, he did a great job. Eccleston would have been cool, but this actor brought some like serious gravitas to the role. So the War Doctor is 2 red-white for a 3/5 Time Lord Doctor. I like how Doctor is his own creature type, and that no one else with a PhD can have the Doctor subtype, because it means this guy specifically. If Dr. House MD got his own cards, he would have to be a cleric or something if they wanted to reflect the fact that he was a healer. Although they probably just call him a rogue. Anyway, whenever one or more other permanents phase out, and whenever one or more other cards are put into exile from anywhere, put a time counter on the War Doctor. Whenever the War Doctor attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of time counters on it to any target. He deals damage. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead, which puts a time counter on the War Doctor for the record. So I like this because it's a Boros commander that doesn't say anything about equipment. It does talk about attacking, and it does talk about exiling stuff, which are things white and red are into. But we're adding black with, is that an L? Hold on. There's like a lot of glare in my room. Vizlor Turlo. Deal with the Black Guardian. He's a 4-mana 2/5. When Vizlor Turlo enters the battlefield, you may have an opponent gain control of it. When you do, it's goaded for as long as they control it. At the beginning of your end step, that's the end step of the controller, draw a card and you lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. Very interesting. So that turns this from a Boros deck into a Mardu deck. And that's and also when I was building all of these decks, I wanted to use all of the doctors and all of the companions, and this was the only place that Vizlor actually really fit. I don't think I use him again. Actually, no, I think I use him again in one of the joke 5-color decks because the 14th Doctor is 4-color, and this adds a 5th. We'll get to that when we get to that. So now we have Dion, Bahamut's Dominant? Yep. During your turn, Dion and other knights you control have flying. Okay. When Dion enters, you create a 2/2 knight. And then we can pay 6 to exile him. Okay, and then he returns to the battlefield as so you can pay 6 to put a time counter on the War Doctor. And get the less good Bahamut, because there's that 9-mana colorless Bahamut that is awesome. So it comes back as this Saga Dragon. That's a 5/5 with flying. First 2 chapters are put a +1 counter on each other creature you control. These creatures gain flying until end of turn. And then Giga Flare, destroy target permanent, exile Bahamut, then return it. Okay, so that's another exile effect. And then we destroy a permanent if it lasts that long, because this is just a 5/5 dragon with no protection. Flaming Tyrannosaurus. Any excuse to put the Flaming Tyrannosaurus in a deck, I tell you what. 7 mana for a 5/5 dinosaur with menace. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Flaming Tyrannosaurus deals 3 damage to any target. Just shoots lightning bolts. Then we put a +1/+1 counter on Flaming Tyrannosaurus. When Flaming Tyrannosaurus dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Just a big old explosion. Ozolith to hold on to our counters, so that if something happens to the War Doctor, the Ozolith can hold on to those counters. And that also makes me think of another. If that one Survivor isn't in this deck, because I think he also holds on to counters, but we'll have to check to see if it's just +1/+1 counters. This guy holds on to all kinds of counters. Rose Tyler, the Bad Wolf. Rose Tyler gets +1/+1 for each time counter on it, so in a pinch, she can hold on to the Doctor's time counters. Whenever Rose Tyler attacks, put a time counter on her for each suspended card you own and each other permanent you control with a time counter on it. Cool. TARDIS. Let's see, will this explain Cascade? No, it won't. It doesn't explain Cascade over there. Okay, Cascade exiles cards, so that's another friend of the War Doctor. Ecstatic Beauty. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play those cards until end of turn. Put 4 time counters on each of those cards that has Suspend. Oh, well that's neat. Because Suspend, so if we exile anything with Suspend, we don't have to cast them right away. God, there's just a itchy spot in the middle of my back. Yay. Actually, it's all across my back. Ugh. Joshua Phoenix's Dominant. This must be Final Fantasy, yep. 15. No, 16. Yeah. I know Roman numerals. When enters, discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards. And then we can pay 5 to exile to get the Phoenix, Warden of Fire. First 2 is deals 2 damage to each opponent. And then the third one is returning any number of target creature cards with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then we exile again. I guess I wanted to have these saga creatures because it was just fun. Obviously, you kind of want to just put better cards in this deck for yourself. Keramose, this is the one that can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose a life. That's the important part. Lelia, the Blade Reforged. When she attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And then whenever 1 or more cards are put in exile from your library and or your graveyard, she gets a +1/+1 counter. There is a meme deck with her that basically exiles your entire library, but I forget what the other card that you need in your opening hand for that to be. Because you just need her, a haste enabler, and that other card. And hopefully the haste enabler is like something that like a lightning greave, or a swiftfoot boot, so that if they miss their opportunity to remove her, they can't. Mari the Killing Quill. Whenever a creature your opponent controls dies, exile it with a hit counter on it. So exiling our opponent's stuff. Assassins, mercenaries, and rogues you control do stuff, and it doesn't really matter. You can remove a hit counter to draw a card and create 2 treasure tokens when those things deal combat damage to a player. Largely unimportant. Sibine? Soothsayer? When the Soothsayer enters the battlefield, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card with mana value 3 or greater. Okay. Exile that card with 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Put the rest reveal at the bottom of your library in random order. So she, not the greatest, but, whatever. Exiles the top card of our library at the beginning of combat on our turn. That's way better. Sibling Soothsayer is another one of those ones that you can definitely remove for something way better. Prosper. This is a good card for this deck. Beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. Whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. Yasmin Khan. She taps to exile the top card of your library. and then you can play it until the end of your next end step. Clive, Ifrit's dominant. Do I have all of the dominants in this deck just for giggles? So that's a bunch of cards you can remove. When Clive enters, discard your hand, then draw cards equal to your devotion to red. Mildly interesting. And then pay 6 to flip him over, which does trigger do an exile. Ifrit's a 9/9 that'll fight on its first chapter. And then add quadruple red. You do that twice, but the second time you exile it and return it back to its front side. Warden of the Inferno. That's pretty sweet. Oh, and then now we're on to our lands. Lightning Greaves, yeah, because we kind of want to protect the War Doctor, and we want the War Doctor to attack as soon as possible. Which is why we also have the plate and the coat. Judone Enforcers. 7 mana for an 8/8 Alien Rhino Soldier. No more than one creature can attack you each combat. Okay, yeah, actually, that's really cool. Sure, it's 7 mana to get into play, but yeah. Then we got the Ring, the Signet, the Bordeaux Signet. I think we're going to get rid of... Hold on. Where's our ramp? We are going to get rid of the Felwar Stone. Mind Stone, Orzhov Signet, Rakdos Signet, 3 Talismans, Thought Vessel, Professional Facebreaker, and Sonic Screwdriver. We'll read this one. We haven't seen one yet today. It's a 3 mana rock that adds 1 mana of any color, but it does 3 other things. Pay 1 and tap, untap another artifact. 2 and tap, scry. 3 and tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Sweet. All great. And just spoilers, I could have put a Sonic Screwdriver in River Song's deck because the Doctor does give her one. And it turns out to be really important. The Master, Gallifrey's End. Whenever a non-token artifact you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, choose an opponent with the most life among your opponents. That player faces a villainous choice. They lose 4 life, or you create a token that's a copy of that card. Lisa, Forgotten Archangel. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent control would die, exile it instead. Arden, the Usurper. Demons you control have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. That triggers the War Doctor. If you exile a card this way, create a token that's a copy, except it's a 5/5 black demon. Sweet. Path to exile, exile removal, obviously. I don't think we need to actually do it that way. Path to exile, Shattering Spree, Swords to Plowshares, Unwanted Remake, Vandal Blast, Lion Sash, because it exiles from graveyards. Mizium Mortars, Parting Gust, Anguish Unmaking, Chaos Warp, that's Delayed Last Fireball, Generous Gift, Grasp of Fate, because it also exiles. Guff rewrites history because we like the chaos stuff in our Doctor Who decks. Baleful Mastery, that exiles. Eowyn, Fierce Knight. When Eowyn, Fearless Knight, enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with greater power. Legendary creatures you control gain protection from each of that creature's color. Okay, so it has to have greater power, but it's an exile effect, so that's fine. Inevitable Defeat? Oh, right, this is that 4 mana Mardu removal. Can't be countered, exile the non-land permanent, its controller loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Settle the Wreckage, Utter End, and Atraxi Warden. It exiles up to one tapped creature. Okay, fair enough. And then, oh, what are we stealing? When Direfleet Daredevil enters the battlefield, exile target enters a sorcery card from opponent's graveyard. You may cast that card this turn, and you may spend manas over mana of any type to cast that spell. This is actually 2 exile effects on one card. Because it exiles it from the graveyard, and then it exiles it again after you cast it. Okay, and I took 1 card out. We got 24 creatures, which is, decent. 26 creatures, and counting our commander and companion. But I know who I'm going to look for. Yes, the Reluctant Role Model. He holds on to all types of counters. Yeah. I like how the War Doctor just needs to attack. Because we don't care if it actually gets through. He is a 3/5. We'd probably want to put +1/+1 counters on him somehow. But if we just get him invincible, I could probably do better than Darksteel Plate. Like, again, I probably have never said it before this episode, but yeah, just really just make these decks better than what I did. But I like the general. Oh, I actually still had more stuff. I had a token section. She has Battle Cry, so when she attacks, other attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. And she has Trample. She's a 5/4 for 4. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you get a Alien Warrior, 2/2. Mardu Siegebreaker. When this creature enters, exile up to 1 under target creature you control until this creature leaves the battlefield. And then when this creature attacks, for each opponent, create a tap token that's a copy of the exile card attacking that opponent. And then you sacrifice those tokens at the end of your turn. Dinosaurs on a spaceship. Other dinosaurs you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance and Trample. That really won't matter, but it has a Suspend. And casting stuff for Suspend exiles them, and they come in later. Whenever a time counter is removed from dinosaurs on a spaceship while it's exiled, you get a dinosaur, 2/2, with flying and haste. So I almost missed an entire section. And we do have stuff in our draw section that will exile a card, so we can cast stuff from exile. So that's another one that I'm a big fan of. Nope, not that window. Control V. Not that window either. There we go. So we got to do some. So the Fugitive Doctor. One of the other times the Doctor regenerated into a lady. Gonna take some time to water. Five mana for a 4/4 Time Lord Doctor. When the Fugitive Doctor enters the battlefield, investigate. Interesting keyword on a color pair that doesn't really investigate. When the Fugitive Doctor attacks, you may sacrifice a clue. When you do, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback of 2 red-green until end of turn. That means you can cast it from your discard pile, but it exiles it. Now we back up really quick from Martha Jones. So this makes this a teamer deck, adding blue. And also, I believe this means it's 2 women of color commanding this deck. When Martha Jones enters the battlefield, investigate. And she also cares about investigation. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, Martha Jones and up to 1 other target creature can't be blocked this turn. Sweet. And then I normally don't put in Warhammer cards, as you might know. But when it fits, it fits. Keeper of Secrets, 6 mana for a 6/4 first strike haste demon. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Keeper of Secrets deals damage to that equal to that spell's mana value to target opponent. So apparently we're going to be exiling stuff to cast it from exile. Maybe some suspend cards in here. Or cascading. Flaming Tyrannosaurus again. Mizzix Replica Rider. 5 mana for a 4/5 Flying Goblin Wizard. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you may pay 1 and either blue or red. If you do, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. If the copy is a permanent spell, it gains haste, and at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. A copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. Oh, and then we threw in the 12th Doctor. He's hiding in here. We'll get to know him better later, but the first spell you cast from anywhere other than your hand each turn has Demonstrate. Demonstrate means you can give an opponent a copy of that spell, and then copy that spell yourself. Whenever you copy a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the 12th Doctor. And now, did I say 12th Doctor earlier being 4-color? Because if I did, I meant 14th. The Sisterhood of Karn. They enter the battlefield with a single +1/+1 counter on them. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, double the number of +1/+1 counters on her. Doesn't even have trample. This is removal bait. Jenny Flint. I believe we gave them a deck already. Yeah, I think I talked about them. And then also that guy from Jurassic Park in the same episode, who teamed up with a dinosaur. Because it was a partner with. Partners with Madame Vastra, who's probably in this deck somewhere as well. And since they are not the commander, when you cast one, you can either you or someone on your team can search their deck for Madame Vastra and put it in their hand. She has first strike and training. Training means that when she attacks, if someone with higher power is attacking, she gets a +1/+1 counter. Whenever you sacrifice a clue or food, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Then the 13th Doctor is hiding in here. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. At the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter, or with a counter on it at all. That's pretty cool. Then we have the TARDIS again. Forensic Gadgeteer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you investigate. Activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to cast. Cannot reduce the cost to less than 1. So our clues go from costing 2 to draw a card to costing 1 to draw a card. Yasmin Khan again for if we want. So that's, you know, that triggers that. Will trigger that casting from exile. As long as it's not a land. Because we can play the land, but that doesn't count as casting from exile. Mimnon, that's casting from the top of our library, but only if it's an artifact. But also turns all of our artifacts into mana rocks. But mana can only be spent to cast stuff anywhere but our hand. Senator Peacock. Artifacts you control are clues in addition to their other types, and have the clue ability. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Displaced dinosaurs. All of your historic stuff are 7/7 dinosaur creatures. Clues are historic because they're artifacts. Just saying. Oh, and that's in addition to whatever else they're doing. And then after that is our lands. Oh, we have the Trenzlore Clock Tower. We might as well. Taps for blue, and then you put a time counter on this. And then once it has at least 12, you can pay 2 and tap to remove all of those. To remove 12 time counters, just shuffle your graveyard and hand into your library to draw 7 cards. But you have to control a Time Lord. I was just thinking if that was in any of my other decks and I just glossed over it. It doesn't really matter. Pest Infestation destroys artifacts and enchantments and gives us pests. Shattering Spree, Vandalblast, Mizium, Naive's Intervention, which either can hurt flying creatures or put lands into our hand from our library. Lightning Greaves, Propaganda, so people are disincentivized from attacking us. The Ring, the Signet. Spells you cast from your graveyard or from exile cost 2 less to cast. Yes. Casting anywhere from our hand, those flashback things. So this means our flashback costs is only 1 green and 1 red when this guy's out. And then and then plotting costs 2 less. If that's ever. And then Farseek, Rule, Mindstone. 3 visits. Patrician Geist. Other spirits you control gets +1/+1. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. That's not as good as that bear, and they don't stack well since our commander's flashback only has 2 generic pips. But Sonic Screwdriver, the 500-Year Diary. You can add blue for each clue you control. And it is a clue itself. Osgood. When you cast a spell, you get another one, but the other one isn't legendary. You can tap for colorless, but only to cast artifact spells or activate the ability of an artifact. And then whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you investigate. Savvy Trader. When it enters the battlefield, exile target permanent card from your graveyard. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Spells you cast from anywhere than your hand cost 1 less to cast. Sweet. Bigger on the inside. Enchanted Permanent has target player adds 2 mana of any color. The next spell they cast this turn has Cascade. Sweet. Sage of the Beyond. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 2 less to cast, and it also has Foretell. Because it's normally 7, but you can pay 2 ahead of time to only have to pay 5 to actually get into play. Berserk, one of my favorite removal spells. Frozen Esper, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization. Oh, I actually put my Mass Disruption and my non-Mass Disruption in separate piles. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, deals 2 damage to its controller. Reality Shift, the Wild Magic, Beast Within, Chaos War. Oh wait, nope, this is... Whenever you investigate for the first time each turn, investigate an additional time. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you get a food token. Whenever you get a clue, food, or treasure, you get all three. Cast anywhere other in your hand, you get a warrior. There's Manavastra, partner with Jenny Flint. Must be blocked if able. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Manavastra dies, you get a clue and a food. Third Doctor showing up, hidden in this deck. The third Doctor gets +1/+1 for each non-creature token you control. When the third Doctor enters the battlefield, create your choice of a clue, food, or a treasure. I am a big fan of this one. Did I take anything out? No. That is not the window I... So we're at like an hour and a half. Is there anything in here? I guess, you know what, I could... Let's look at the two joke decks. There's the 4-color joke deck and the 5-color joke deck. That'll kill the rest of the half hour. Just checking some messages. Because I don't think there's... Whoops, I don't even know why I did that. That was a waste of scrolling my mouse. Now it says all 17 Doctors. That is because there's 15 Doctors, then the War Doctor, and then the Fugitive Doctor. I don't know if there's a 16th Doctor in the show yet. I don't... Like I said, I don't watch stuff as much as I want to. Because I'm playing video games, which I enjoy, even when it's for this channel. And I don't have anime on next to me when I'm doing other stuff that I'm not recording, because I don't watch dubbed. Not because I have anything against dubbed, it's just subbed is easier to find. Anyway, all 17 Doctors, it is what it is. And then it looks like I've organized stuff by what Doctor they go with. So this is a good way to get... Oh wow, and it only uses cards from the Doctor Who set, I think, including the lands. Okay. Oh, and there's a couple of... Okay, there's at least one land in here. So there's the Trenzlore Clock Tower, again. But we also have the Gallifrey Council Chamber. When it enters, you surveil one. And taps for colorless, or 1 mana of any color, but you can only use that to cast Time Lords or Aliens, or activate the ability of a Time Lord or Alien. And it's a bracket 1 deck. There's... Huh. Okay, some of the cards in this deck make people's... so the commander is the 14th Doctor. When you cast this spell, reveal the top 14 cards of your library. Put all Doctor cards revealed this way into your graveyard. Huh. And the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay. You may have the 14th Doctor enter the battlefield as a copy of a Doctor card in your graveyard that was put there from your library this turn. If you do, it gains haste until end of turn. Okay. This was from a secret layer, for the record. I don't think I'll be coming out of this screen. And then I had to do a bunch of research to see like which Doctors were being referenced. Although I think someone else collated all... Oh, it also says the first Doctor in the flavor text. So we have Swords to Plowshares. Susan Foreman. This is where I do research and go, okay, who was this a companion to? If you planeswalk, instead look at the top two cards of your planar deck, put one of them in the bottom and the other on top, then planeswalk. But she's also a mana dork that adds green. An Unearthly Child. That's 1 blue for a saga. And all 3 chapters. And that's the first Doctor right there. Reveal the top card. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a Doctor card, a card with Doctor's Companion, or a vehicle card. Put that card in your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. And then we have the first Doctor himself. In black and white, because a lot of his stuff was in black and white. 1 white-blue for a 2/2, Time Lord Doctor. When the first Doctor enters the battlefield, search your library and or graveyard for a card named TARDIS. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. Whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature. And then Path to Exile, that is the second Doctor in the picture. The 500-year Doctor diary, that's the second Doctor again. And see, that's the second Doctor with his 500-year diary. Players have no maximum hand size. Look at us helping everybody. At the beginning of your end step, each player may draw a card. Each opponent who does can't attack you or permanents you control on their next turn. I do like that. It's like that's definitely some low power stuff, because you definitely don't want that in a higher power game where people aren't winning by attacking. They're winning by some ridiculous combo and alternate win condition. But when people are winning by combat damage, getting second place ain't the worst place to be. Bessie, I think we're in the third Doctor now, because the third Doctor is the one who used the Roadster, because I think that's the third Doctor right there. Sarah Jane Smith, whenever you cast a historic spell, investigate once a turn. Yep, third Doctor, there's his cape. Non-creature, +1/+1 for non-creature tokens. And then he makes a clue of food or a treasure. Talisman of Progress, that's the fourth Doctor. Tegan Jovanka. Whenever you attack, target attacking a historic creature gets +1/+1 and indestructible until end of turn. That is sweet. I don't know what she's doing to make that possible. Then we have the fourth Doctor. This was probably the first Doctor Who stuff I saw. Because there was a PBS channel that, I think I've told this story before, that they had a Sunday science fiction night. It wasn't all science fiction, because like they led in with anime, and then there would be like like a Red Dwarf, when Red Dwarf like had new stuff. So that's how I watched it, on a PBS channel that was run by a bunch of nerds. So that was great. And again, and before anime got really big and they got priced out of being able to license any, basically before Cartoon Network stole all the good anime. I saw Tenchi Muyo on a PBS station in the middle of the, like at 9 p.m., 8 or 9 p.m. on a Sunday, before Cartoon Network took it. Just saying. And the PBS station played the OVA, not the TV version. Although I think it was still censored. Oh no, it wasn't. They didn't play the censored version. Because that's also where I watched Key the Metal Idol. And they put that on like late at night, and that had nudity in it. I think. Because they're not beholden to advertisers. They're beholden to viewer donations. Yeah, and so there's like Red Dwarf. They played the Neverwhere movie in, I think, in parts. God, man. This is another tangent, but I do love turning movies into miniseries. Like G.I. Joe did that with their movies back in the 80s. And they had the wrestler Sergeant Slaughter because they also made him into a G.I. Joe. Oh, that was great. But yeah, so Neverwhere. The Red Green Show, which was definitely not science fiction, but I think that was a Canadian comedy. But the end of the night before they signed off for the evening was like an hour or two of Doctor Who, and that was great. And then I do kind of miss it, even though it was only once a week. This is my old boomer flavored take of I do miss TV for the structure, broadcast television. I do not miss the ridiculous amount of ads they play. Like every 5 to 10 minutes. Which wasn't a problem with PBS. Yeah, I don't know what they do anymore. I'm going to look it up really quick. Oh, that finally shipped. I ordered a bunch of stuff. Okay, so that's all of that. Anyway. There are PBS stations, though. They probably ran out. Oh, they stopped existing in 2011. They have a fandom page. That's mildly interesting. Yeah, KTH San Jose, 54. Oh, okay, so they changed to KQEH. Huh. Yeah, in April 1981, this is before I was able to watch TV, started showing the British science fantasy show Doctor Who, which ran on the station until 2003. And it took a 4-year break until 2007. They also showed Red Dwarf, yes, so this is the exact channel I'm thinking about. From 1996 to 2003, they had anime. Okay, so 2003 was like kind of a big drop-off for them. Yep, anime on Sunday nights. KTH was notable as the station that saw the broadcast premiere of the English subtitled Neon Genesis Evangelion, as well as the dubbed version of Tenchi Universe TV, Bubblegum Crisis, Key the Metal Idol, Dirty Pair Flash, all-purpose cultural cat girl Nuku Nuku, Urusei Yatsura, and Sakura Wars. And the dub version of Serial Experiments Lane, City Hunter, Ruin Explorers, Please Save My Earth, which I love, Ranma Half, and Generator Gall. They also aired Robotech. So thank you to Karen Roberts. Wherever you are now, whatever you are doing now, rest in peace if you're not with us anymore. You made my teenage years awesome. And childhood, I guess. Although I think it wasn't until the 90s that I found them, because it was a PBS channel. So they're KQEH now. Do they still exist? I should go back to the top. Is. So present tense. San Jose, California. Doxing myself a tiny bit. Yes, I mean, sorry for this, like, big super tangent. But it was semi-related because they played Doctor Who. And I'm glad that they still exist. I don't know what their programming is today. Do they so now we go KQEH Sunday Science Fiction Night, because that's what they call it. Well, 5 years ago, someone asked on Reddit about it. Oh, that's right. They also had Jack Horkheimer do a segment of called Stargazer. Oh yeah, they also played like Blake 7 and some other stuff. Wow, KTEH is even on the TARDIS wiki. That's wild. Oh, and in 2023, someone talked about it for 9 minutes. Anyway, enough of that. Oh man, that was some blast from the past nonsense. Thank you to KTEH, now KQEH. I don't know if you still, you probably can't afford it. Let's be honest, because now that all that stuff is popular, and also streaming. Anyway, the Fourth Doctor. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. That's great. Once during each of your turns, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. When you do, you create a food. That's actually really cool. Then the Talisman of Unity, that's the 5th Doctor we're on now. Yep, 05. I vaguely recall this Doctor as well. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that didn't attack or enter the battlefield this turn. Untap those creatures. Interesting. Trial of the Time Lord. Now we're on the 6th Doctor. Wow, the 5th Doctor didn't get a whole lot. It's a saga. First 3 chapters. Exile target non-tone creature and opponent controls until this leaves. Okay. Then on the 4th. Starting with you, each player votes for innocent or guilty. If guilty gets more votes, the owner of each card exiled with Trial of the Time Lords puts that card into the bottom of their library. So they either come back or they don't, depending on how the voting goes. That is very interesting. That is a lot of, It's like, I'll vote innocent if you vote innocent. That is corrupt. The 6th Doctor. Time Lord's Prerogative. Oh, by the way, I would have put Vizlor Turlo in this deck as the companion, but adding black did not do anything positive for this deck. So that's why he's not in here. Time Lord's Prerogative. Oh, this guy might be the one that I'm more familiar with, because him and, honestly, the 6th and the 4th kind of look similar to me. Even though one has the big, scarf and this guy has an umbrella. Whenever you cast a historic spell, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. This is once a turn. That's good. Jeez. 7th Doctor. You might recognize him from my Toymaker deck. Whenever the 7th Doctor attacks, choose a card in your hand. Defending player guesses whether that card's mana value is greater than the number of artifacts you control. If they guess wrong, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast a spell this way, investigate. That's actually not powerful, but cool. The 8th Doctor. This guy only appeared in a movie. Probably deserved better. At least I think, because it was supposed to be, it was like a failed, not reboot, but so much as a restart. I remember, I think KTH played this movie as well. When the 8th Doctor enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. Not fun, but, whatever. Although our commander mills up to 14 cards, depending on what we draw. Once during each of your turns, you may play a historic land or cast a historic permanent spell from your graveyard. If you do, it doesn't get a finality counter, but it does the finality counter thing, where if it leaves the battlefield, it's exiled. The Night of the Doctor. Yeah, he was having a bad time in that movie. Destroy all creatures. And then return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put your choice of a first strike, vigilance, or lifelink counter on it. Run for your life. This is the Eccleston Doctor. 1 or 2 target creatures each gain haste until end of turn. They can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. And then you can also escape this card, which means you exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, pay the cost, and then it still goes back into your discard pile so you can escape it again. That's funny, by the way, that it has escape. The 9th Doctor, Eccleston. 3 mana for a 2/4 with haste. Interesting. Whenever the 9th Doctor becomes untapped during your untap step, you get an additional upkeep. Oh, additional upkeeps. He's definitely worth putting in other decks where you care about upkeeps, as long as they're blue and red. Psychic Paper, I guess he was the first one to use it. Nope, we're on the 10th Doctor now. Yep, 10th Doctor. I had to look that up to see if... to see what the heck that was. Grasp of Fate. This exiles a thing from each opponent until it leaves the play. And this is where the 10th Doctor says goodbye to Rose Tyler. There's Martha Jones again, who was a companion for the 10th Doctor. Donna Noble first appeared with the 10th Doctor. Whenever Donna or a creature it's paired with, because it has Soulbound, is dealt damage, Donna deals that much damage to target opponent. That's cool, because she did not play around. That's a Sontarrian that she apparently hit with a mallet. She does not care. And here's our 10th Doctor. Whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of your library until they exile a non-land card. Put 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. Oh, that's Alon V. Oh, Alon Z. Tamiwami, pay 7. Time travel 3 times. Oh, what does time travel do? Can I remember? It's... You can either put time counters on or take time counters off stuff with time counters. I feel like there's something missing, so let's see if the card rules helps me out. For each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove 1 time counter. And then we do that 3 total times. Okay. So I was right, I just didn't say all the different types of things that could have time counters. We got the Soul Ring, the Arc Sig, the Lightning Greaves, the Mind Stone, the Talisman. Oh, the 11th Doctor. Oh, I see. All of those things are with the 11th Doctor. Like, in my brain, it was the ramp section. Because, even though this wasn't ramp. I am talking. Whenever the 11th Doctor deals combat damage to a player, you may exile a card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. And then target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn by paying 2. The 11th Hour. A lot of stuff going on there. Search your library for a Doctor, reveal it, put in your hand, and shuffle. Create a food token and a 1/1 human creature with Doctor spells cost 1 less to cast. And then create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's a legendary alien named Professor Zero. Oh, Prisoner Zero. So it's legendary, but it has a different name, so it doesn't matter. Clara Oswald. If she's in your commander, choose a color. Yeah. So she could be our companion. And she could be a way to add black, but like I said, adding black didn't do any favors for this deck. But, that's another thing. We can make any of the commanders or the companions our Doctor's companion. So, and I just didn't put any there because, like, that's your choice. Huh. If a triggered ability of a Doctor you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. Heaven Sent, investigate, and then deals 1 damage to each opponent. Then if an opponent has 0 less life, draw 7 cards. Otherwise, exile Heaven Sent and you may cast it, and we're on the 12th Doctor. Oh, exile it and you can cast it this turn. That's pretty cool. Talisman of Impulse, because he had an electric guitar for some reason. Chaos Warp. Truth or Consequences. Each player secretly votes for truth or consequences. Then those votes are revealed. You draw cards equal to truth and choose an opponent at random to deal 3 damage to them for each consequence. And then 12th Doctor, that's the one where you can demonstrate. Farseek, that's on the 13th Doctor. Talisman of Curiosity, that's her goggles. Beast Within, that was during her time as well, apparently. The 13th Doctor, we know what she does from a different deck. The Flux deals 4 damage to target creature an opponent controls. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 turns of Impulsive Draw. And then we add 6 red on the last one. Yasmin Khan again. Rose Noble. Donna Noble's kid. I think it's adopted. Just saying. Wait. I actually don't know who she married. So this could be her blood child. War 2. Whenever you cast a Doctor's spell or creature spell with Doctor's Companion, draw a card. That's neat. Oh, and she traveled with the 14th. Now we have the 15th Doctor. Whenever the 15th Doctor enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact card with mana value 2 or 3 from among them into your hand. The first non-artifact spell you cast each turn has Improvise, which you can tap artifacts to pay for 1 generic cost. Now we're on to the Fugitive Doctor. Fugitive of the Judon. We create a 1/1 white human creature token with Ward 2 and a 4/4 white alien rhino creature token. Investigate. And then you may exile a human control and an artifact you control. If you do, search your library for a Doctor and put it onto the battlefield. Okay. Fugitive Doctor again. Oh, and then our lands that I did not. I did not put which Doctor they were under because that's breaking them up is ridiculous and only makes reading the cards we care about more difficult. So this is the multiple Doctors setting. Like, even though this has a specific Doctor on it, all Doctors have Time Lord regeneration. And non-Doctors will have Time Lord regeneration if they're a Time Lord. Until end of turn, target Time Lord you control gains. When this creature dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a Time Lord creature card. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. Cost 1 blue. You know, if a creature's going to die, you just you can replace it. Then we got the TARDIS because they almost all of them use it. I think the War Doctor and maybe the Fugitive don't have access to it because they're kind of stuck in a place. 3 visits because this is 3 Doctors specifically. The first 3. Oh, so I'm going to read the flavor text on this one because it's great. Oh, so you're my replacements, huh? No, so you're my replacements. Oh, so you're my replacements. Huh. A dandy and a clown. Have you done anything? So, part of the lore is that the Doctor hates himself. He hates all of his other incarnations. And the first one is the most hateful. Sonic Screwdriver. Bigger on the inside. Heroes Podium. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you control. Then you can pay X, tap to look at the top X cards of your library. Reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Gallifrey Stands. When Gallifrey Stands enters the battlefield, return all Doctor cards from your graveyard to your hand. Well, that's nice. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a Doctor creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Oh, wow, this is definitely getting removed by any opponent Although it's bracket 1, so who knows. Then if you control 13 or more doctors, so you don't even have to have all 17 doctors on the field, just 13 of them, you win. Nice. The 5 doctors, so this is doctors 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 on a green with a kicker of 5. Jeez, so 6 or 11. Search your library and or graveyard for up to 5 doctor cards. Reveal them and put them into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. If the spell was kicked, they go into the battlefield instead. Neat. Then we got the War Doctor again, and then we're back to the top with the 14th Doctor. I gotta remember to Control-C this. Definitely don't want to type that out. Oh. The clipboard thing was off to the side and I wasn't looking there, so I didn't know. Oh wait, no, he's in charge of 2 decks, so I don't need to go that far. So this is another bracket 1 deck. I do like how they call that the exhibition bracket, because it's like, I built this deck to show something off, not necessarily to win games. So this is 14th Doctor, plus Vizlor Turlo, because we wanted all 5 colors. Then we have additional companions. They obviously don't go in the companion zone because all of these would break the deck construction rules. This is just to show that we have 8 companions for a total of 9, and 3 additional doctors for a total of 4. So we have K9. That's the one that gives our other legendary creatures Ward 1 and can make a legendary creature unblockable. Barbara Wright gives us... Oh, we actually haven't seen this one yet. Sagas you control have read ahead, which means you can skip chapters when you first play it. You can't go back for those chapters. You just skip them. So you can say I don't need the first chapter, or I don't need the second chapter. You can go all the way to the last chapter if that's all you want. Nardole. He casts non-creature spells, but he has to die once. Or you have to put counters on him some other way. Okay, hold on. Where are you? You couldn't hear me making annoyed sounds after having to blow my nose again. Anyway, Nardole. Sarah Jane Smith, you investigate when you cast historic spells. Susan Foreman, she's the Planeswalker that's a mana dork. Ian Chesterton, we haven't had to talk about him yet because he's also about sagas. Each saga spell you cast has Replicate. The Replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. Oh, I hate me right now. I hate my nose. So yeah, Ian Chesterton. So as long as we don't mind paying double, and those, of course, those additional ones are tokens. Whenever you cast a historic spell, Jamie McCrimmon gets +X on turn, where X is that spell's mana value. Sagas are historic. And then we have Joe Grant. Historic cards in your hand have cycling, which means you can pay that cost to discard them to draw a card. So if you're like, oh, I don't want this. Whenever you cycle a card, she gets a +1/+1 counter. Fourth Doctor is casting cards off the top of your deck and making food. Eighth Doctor, you mill, but you can play historic cards from your graveyard, only they get exiled permanently if you do. Sixth Doctor is you can copy one historic spell a turn. Oh my dear Jesus. I'm going to lose it. Lightning Greaves, TARDIS, Sonic Screwdriver, all of my lands. Other creatures, okay. Huh. Yeah, because obviously we do want to have creatures in this deck. Scratching my back again. So we have the Vashta Narada. They're the ones that have Shadow and Indestructible. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Weeping Angel. First strike Vigilance. It is not a creature if an opponent has cast a creature spell that turn. If Weeping Angel will deal combat damage to a creature, prevent that damage and that creature shuffles it into their library. Alistair, the Brigadier. Whenever you cast a historic spell, you get a soldier. Whenever Alistair attacks, you may pay 8. If you do creatures you go control, get +X/+X on the turn, where X is the number of historic permanents you control. Yeah. Flood of Mars, this turns things into either islands if it's a land, or a copy of the Flood of Mars if it's not. You kind of don't want to make other creatures copy of the Flood of Mars unless like it's one of your own garbage token creatures, I think. You don't want to give your opponent... You can mess up your opponents by giving them islands and making the Flood of Mars unblockable, but you only want to turn your other creatures into Floods of Mars, because you don't want to give them this power. The Foretold Soldier. It must be blocked if able. It can't be blocked by more than one creature. When it deals damage, exile it face down. It becomes Foretold. And it's... So you can pay 2 to foretell it from your hand, and then cast it for 1 and a green. Jeez, that is wild. Razlon, the War President. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life and exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Non-creatures you spell have Conspire, which means you can tap 2 untapped creatures you control to copy it. The Time Reaper, Flying Haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put target face-up card they own in exile into the bottom of their library. So that messes up anybody else's suspend cards and cards they've impulsive drawn that they can hold on to. Or Razlon, the War President's ability. Judo and Enforcers. No more than one creature can attack you. That's always nice. And then our ramp section. Bunch of cheap ramp, but that's fine. It's all the Talismans. +3 visits. Farseek. Arc, Sig, and Soul Ring. And then we have a very truncated removal section. Path to Exile, Sword to Plowshares, Cyber Conversion. It turns a creature face down. This is underrated, probably because it costs 2 blue. Because it just a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature with no abilities. Beast Within, Chaos Warp, and this is how it ends. That's the one where target creature's owner shuffles into their library, and then either they lose 5 life or shuffle another creature they control. They don't. You choose the first one, they choose the second one. Displaced Dinosaurs turns all of our sagas into 7/7 dinosaurs. They do not have trample or anything. And I think this is all 19 sagas that are in the Doctor Who set. Let's see if I skipped any, and if so, why. Let's go through them. Unearthly Child. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a Doctor card, a card with Doctor's Companion, or a vehicle. Puts into your hand. So that will tutor up one of those specific creatures. Blink. Choose target creature. Its owner shuffles into a library, then investigates. And then it does that twice, but on off turns, on odd turns. And then on even turns, you get a Weeping Angel that doesn't shuffle things back into its owner's library. Because that's covered by the other half of the blink. City of Death, you get a treasure token. And then you can create tokens that are a copy of non-saga tokens you control. So it's a weird way to ramp, I guess, unless you have other tokens in play. Day of the Moon, choose a creature card name, then goad all creatures with a name chosen for Day of the Moon. Okay. Death in Heaven. Target player mills 2 cards, then exiles their graveyard twice. And then on the third one, you make a bunch of Cybermen based on the creature cards exiled. Fugitive Juron. Genesis of the Daleks. For 3 turns, you make a 3/3 Dalek that has Menace. Oh no, you make 1, then 2, then 3. And then target opponent pays his villain's choice. You either destroy all Daleks, and your opponent loses life equal to total power of the Daleks, or destroy all non-Daleks. That could suck for us, but you know, that's the point of this deck, is that is to play the sagas, not the consequences of our actions. Heaven Sent, the Caves of Androzani. Put 2 stone counters on each up to 2 tap creatures. And then the next 2 are, for each non-saga permanent, choose a counter on it. You may put an additional counter on it of that kind on it. Okay. Just so you don't trigger your sagas again. Search your library for a Doctor, put it in your hand. So that searches one of the 3 Doctors that are on our deck. The Curse of Finnick. For each player, destroy up to 1 target creature that players control. For each creature destroyed this way, they get a 3/3 mutant with Death Touch. Target non-token creature. Oh, that's for each player, so we can do that to ourselves. Target non-token creature becomes a 6/6 legendary horror creature named Finnick and loses all abilities. So one of your non-tokens. Or someone else's. Target mutant fights another target creature named Finnick. Oh. So here, you can have this 6/6, but it's going to die if this mutant is still around. But so is that mutant, probably. Because it's only a 3/3. Day of the Doctor. For 3 chapters, exile cards from the top of your library until exile a legendary card. You may play that card for as long as the day the Doctor remains on the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. Choose up to 3 doctors. You may exile all other creatures. If you do, Day of the Doctor deals 13 damage to you. That's wild. Probably not going to do that last part. The 11th Hour, we just talked about it. Yep. Prisoner Zero. The Flux. The Girl in the Fireplace. Create a 1/1 white human noble creature with Vanishing 3 and prevent all damage that will be dealt to this creature. That's a good blocker for several turns. Create a 2/2 white horse creature token with doctors you control have horsemanship. Huh. That's wild. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, time travel. Sagas have lore counters for the record, not time counters. That last one will probably never happen because I don't think... Oh wait, no. Does Vanishing use time counters? Answer that question and you'll see how useful that last chapter is. The Night of the Doctor, we read that. The Parting of the Ways. Exile the top 5 cards of your library. For each non-land card exiled this way, put a number of time counters on that card equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. Time travel, then time travel. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact that player controls. Neat. Probably not worth 6 mana. The Sea Devils. Create a 2/2 green alien salamander creature token with Island Walk. Until end of turn, whenever that you do that twice. Until end of turn, whenever a salamander deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to target creature that player controls. Neat. The Wall Games. Each player gets a 1/1 warrior. Those are all goated for as long as this saga is on the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on each warrior. You do that twice. You may exile a non-token creature you control. When you do, exile all warriors. Okay. Trial of a Time Lord. We read that one. Okay, so that's that's basically this whole deck. Yeah, these last 2 were, of course, severe bracket 1 nonsense. I do like them both. What's funny is that the Doctor one has a surprising amount of synergy, even though it's just the Doctors and some of the companions. So that is it for this week. Next week... Oh, I can move these to the parent folder. I don't know why. I'm not sure what order it's putting them in. The order that I made them, maybe? Anyway, next week we'll start working on the Bant ones. I don't want to do them all in the same episode, obviously. So hopefully there are more changes I want to do to those decks. Like, I could have changed some of those other decks, but I just didn't feel like it. Like I said, I'm not feeling great. So I'm going to use the rest of this week to recover, even though I still have my other recordings to do once a day. But yeah, next week, how many Doctors should I do? There are literally 15 decks left. I think I should do my best. Only do like 3 Doctors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Wait, no, how many decks are there? Because some of them have multiple Doctors in them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11. Well, we'll see what makes sense. And then maybe I'll like make alternate versions of the deck or something. Especially ones that have multiple Doctors. Like this has 3 Doctors in it. Like maybe we'll do ones with like fewer colors. I don't know. See you next time.